There's a guy called Eric Thomas, and the analogy he uses, he goes, you're either a lion or a gazelle, because a gazelle only runs when it's being chased by a lion, but nobody chases a lion. It chooses to run. So which one are you? Do you want to be motivated by yourself, you're going to run, or do you have to be chased in order?
Welcome to the Simplified Marketing Podcast. Straight talking ideas to grow your business.
Well, hello and welcome to the Simplified Marketing Podcast, the podcast that aims to help you grow your business. Now, my name's John Lawley and I'm your web wizard.
I'm Georgia and I'm your design and brand guardian.
I'm Andrew and I help trades get off the tools.
Now, great news today as we learned that this podcast, the Simplified Marketing Podcast, is the number 12 most listened to marketing podcast in Poland. So hello and welcome to all our Polish listeners and viewers. Thank you very much for making this a success. Now, we're still, I suppose, in the midst of COVID-19 and the pandemic. So today's episode is all about the benefits of being positive and keeping that positive mental attitude, not only in your home life, but also in business. So I know that, Georgia, you have a story you'd like to tell us first.
Yes. So in terms of being positive, when everything happened in March, in terms of all the announcements of COVID-19, it was stressful for everybody. We didn't know what was happening. There was daily news of all these things going on. And over the weeks, so many things changed for everybody in personal lives and in business as well, you know, where they could go, who they couldn't see, et cetera, et cetera. And for the first week or so, maybe I felt quite down because I didn't really know what was going on, I guess. But then I sort of made a bit of a decision that, okay, well, I have two ways to go here that's in my control. I can either sort of get consumed by everything going on and maybe sort of sucked into things that I wouldn't normally be, or I could try and filter what is being exposed to me and focus on what I normally would anyway, which is my family and my business. So throughout the last 3 months, I've been working really, really hard behind the scenes, maybe as a bit of a distraction as well, working double, triple as hard as I normally would, and putting all my focus into the business. And just keeping in mind that actually even though what's going on in the economy is out of our control per se, what I'm doing, the small things day to day, are totally in my control. And I was trying to help my clients through. I was checking in with everybody, seeing how they are, trying to have positive discussions with people as well, not only for their benefit, but for mine too. And through being really, really positive in my business and with my clients, I ended up having one of the most successful months on business since I started. And I wasn't really doing anything differently in my work. I wasn't offering any services that I hadn't done before. I was just putting some different things to the forefront of parts of my services that maybe hadn't been as exposed in the past, that maybe there was a need for, and just having positive conversations with people. And I guess it kind of attracted more positive people that were in the positive mind frame as well, wanting to further themselves in business. And yeah, I just made a conscious decision that I was going to really try my best each day, that despite what was going on, and there'd been a lot of sorrow and things going on in my close circle as well, to try and maintain a positive mental attitude as my first decision. There were days that were really tough. There were some weeks that were really tough. But if I kept trying, that made me come out of this feeling that there had been some positives as well in my personal life and in my business. So yeah, I guess that's my kind of 3-month life story there. Hope everyone's still awake. But yeah, that's been my experience. What about you, John? Like, what have you been doing and feeling the last few months in terms of your PMA?
I think you hit the nail on the head there. It's about being positive, isn't it? And your positivity means that you attract other positive people. I think for one point, which has really helped, is not reading the news. Because I think if you read the news, I mean, it is by nature, it's all about fear. And especially if you look at those, tabloid newspapers, they're always trying to find the worst situation and get the worst out of it, because fear sells news and newspapers. It's what they're in the business of doing. So don't read the news has been number one, I think, in my fact. Obviously get a synopsis of it, because you need to know what's going on. It has been difficult being locked up and cooped up in a small house with 2 very small children and trying to keep them occupied all the time, as well as help other people out there with their businesses. But I think this is something we've kind of got used to now. And the positives for me, I think, I've spent a lot more time with the family, with the kids, had to be a lot more creative and thinking of ways to keep them occupied, and also think of new and different and creative ways to help people in business do better. I gave a presentation to our networking group this morning about all the different ways using things like Instagram, Facebook, email marketing that we've helped different businesses over the last 3 months actually do really well. And hopefully that's helped prompt a few different ideas and whirring of cogs and things that the wider community then can start getting things back on track. Because that's where we need to be, isn't it, Andrew?
Yeah, I think, where Georgia started there with that conscious choice, that conscious decision to say, I'm going to be positive. But for some people that maybe don't have that self-awareness, I mean, have you made any changes or adaptations to your daily routine, or have you noticed any changes to the routines of those clients that you work with?
Do you know what I've actually realised? It's funny, my attire today, as some people may notice, apologies, I'm not all suited and booted as sometimes I may be, but exercise. There was the first few weeks, I mean, I'm normally a gym goer, and I go to the gym a couple of times a week just to get out for my mental health, to get away from the computer, zone out, not answer the phone calls, not look at emails, give my anxiety a break for an hour and just do me. With everything that happened on lockdown, that was not doable. And there's been many weeks that during lockdown, I've been so busy, I had no time for exercise. And actually, I felt like I'd reached burnout. I'd reached negative states. I was having days and a couple of weeks where felt like I couldn't manage anything. The minute I then went back to doing a little class online from one of my clients, interestingly, that John did an awesome site development for us as well. I started bike riding. I haven't sat on a bike for 20 years. the last 2 months, I've been on a bike once a week on a Sunday. Literally killing myself. I took the stabilisers off after week 1. I managed to get there. It's fine. But it made such a difference to how I was feeling, how I was approaching the day to day. The minute I stopped doing the exercise, I fell into this hole. And I felt it was really hard to find the positives in the day. And I was just going through the motions. The minute I get up in front of Zoom meetings and my computer to the minute I go to bed, and then it's just the same thing the next day. There was no me time, which is really weird, because you think even when we're on this lockdown and we're not seeing many people, you have more me time. But that's actually, I don't know about you, John, how your business as well, but I didn't find that the case. It's conscious decisions again. So like, right, do you know what? I'm going to stop doing this and I'm going to do the exercise because that makes me feel better and helps me be more positive.
Yeah, there's always more to do, isn't there? And Andrew, I think you've hit the nail on the head about structuring your day and not letting that thing of, which is really easy to do, just sleeping in that bit longer and that bit longer and that bit longer and staying up later at night. That just makes you more fatigued and more fatigued. So setting some really good rules during the daytime. So if I need to concentrate on something, put your phone on silent or on do not disturb, and just have that hour when you know that people can't call you because it's probably not, an emergency. They can wait for half an hour to an hour, and then you can pick up all your messages. So put that time aside for you to get on with things, and then have half an hour to blitz all your messages and emails and get back to people, and then back on do not disturb. So it makes you feel like you're not being constantly pressured. Because if you're someone like me, you're a bit of you're like the shiny balls, as Andrew likes to say. So you've got the you've got the Mac, you've got the iPhone, and one of these stupid things on my wrist as well. So someone calls you, and every single alarm on all the different devices goes off at once. It can be quite annoying and quite distracting, and make you feel really under pressure. So that do not disturb button has been fundamental, as well as setting in a very detailed thing. I'm going to get up at this time. The kids are going to have to be looked after at this time, breakfast time, meal times, making time for exercise, which I think is so important, just for your mental state of mind, just to get those thoughts in order every day and about what you're going to do next. And then making sure you don't have any screen time, at least an hour before you go to bed.
Yeah.
Because that blue light keeps you up.
This whole kind of talk about sort of positive thinking and positive mental attitude, and I think for a lot of people and a lot of business people, that maybe they are kind of quite factual, or they're quite pessimistic even. Well, positive mental attitude doesn't mean that you kind of don't have bad days or bad times. But what we've established in this conversation, that in order to be positive, it has to be a choice and it has to be deliberate. And even if you're not feeling positive right now, you can make conscious changes. I mean, John, what you said there about, your phone going off, your watch going off, your Mac going off, not is it only annoying, it's controlling. And you're now being controlled by the very devices that are their purpose is there to serve you rather than control you. And if we're in this situation all the time where we are reacting to stuff that's not always urgent, and by doing the distraction, the urgent stuff, we're being pulled away from what's important. And what's important is health. What's important is time. And what's important is we all got in and started our own business in order to have choice and free choice of what we do and where we go and who we speak to. So this getting up at 6 and being in front of the computer in order to be busy or be productive is just an absolute nonsense. It's rubbish. And because the workflow has changed over the last few months, some of us have been busier, some of us haven't, having those pockets of time through the day and having your diary set up in such a way, and by the way, there are apps available on your iPhone, on your Mac that don't allow you to either use the phone or don't allow you to go on social media for specific parts of the day. Introducing something into your daily routine like that will help your positive mental attitude.
And I think another thing as well, Georgia touched on, you touched on earlier on, Georgia, I think being around positive people and having that positive energy means so much. There's a client of mine, a mutual contact that we've all got, who has a number of workman teams out there installing bathrooms and kitchens and home renovations. He was kept constantly calling me all throughout lockdown saying, don't forget about me, John. Don't forget about me, John. If anyone else is starting to do all this different work, don't forget about me. And I was a bit like, yeah, sure. I'm not going to forget about you. Don't worry. If there's some kind of big thing, big cooperation thing, we're not going to leave you out. Don't worry. And then eventually he comes to me and says, look, I know there is a lot of work out there for me and my business. I need to tap into it. I know it's going to happen. I trust that you're going to be able to do it. Here is £1,000 to start things off. Go out and make it happen. And then just left the conversation at that to me. And I was a bit reeling about this as to whether this is going to happen. We're 2 weeks, no, not even 2 weeks. We're like 9 or 10 days into this operation, having redeveloped his website, helping him out with things on Facebook. And he's getting about 1 or 2 new inquiries for big jobs in North London every single day because he was positive and took a chance on that. All right, he's not risking a huge amount of money. But still, that has now, it just shows you what is out there if you are positive and willing to take a chance and look for it.
100%. And it's funny what you say about being around positive people. The kind of opposite to that is like misery loves company. So, you attract how you act. And throughout this, I think we've seen a real division of how people are, whether they're going to respond to this in a positive way or they're just going to be controlled by their circumstances. I know you're talking about BNI this morning. There's a number of people they've been really affected quite badly, but they also find themselves in this position of having that negative feeling reinforced and rebounded back onto them. Once you're in that situation, it's very, very tricky to get out. It's very, very tricky to recognize that some of your colleagues are doing very, very well or being proactive in trying to chase new business. And there's a lot of people I think we've seen are actually doing better than they were before lockdown. But
it's a reflection of your brand as well. I mean, that there's personal and business in terms of all things that have been going on the last few months. And part of what a brand is how you're positioning yourself in front of people, right? And even if I've got clients that I know very well that have had a lot going on personally, and they've had losses in their families, and they've had so many struggles in their personal lives. But when you look at their business and their brand and how they're turning up online and how they're smiling and how they're just giving value to people and giving tips and trying to help, that is attracting a whole audience, because we're not necessarily, we don't need to see what's going on in their personal life, and maybe their business, that's their expression, that's where they find their happiness as well, and it's their focus, it's the distraction of what's been going on. And even if their business is struggling because right now it's in an industry that has taken a little bit of a back seat, they're still showing up and smiling, and they're being memorable, and people are inquiring and having conversations with them that even if they're not turning into business right now, are going to turn to business in the upcoming weeks and months. Just like John's example with his client that he was speaking to, just like one of my construction clients, his company went dead a few months ago because of what happened. Last week, he had 20 inquiries for giant jobs in 1 week because we kept him visible the whole time. We kept his brand alive and he kept positive at the face of things. And that attracted all of these amazing potential new clients. So yeah, from a brand perspective, positivity sells. So it's good to try and find that, even if it's not in yourself. It might be in a staff member that can help you in being visible, maybe in the agencies that you're working for, the videos they can come up with, the amazing web designs that they can create a positive brand for you as well, so that when you are ready, that's there for you to come out with together and prosper in your business, I guess.
I think this is why we're seeing so many personal brands or so many kind of unique profiles, particularly on TikTok, doing so well, because they're just having fun, having a laugh, being positive and getting out there. And the way a lot of these sort of trends are exploding at the moment, it just shows the personality really comes over. So if you can learn anything from it, is 100% have that positivity and have that content, really kind of going forward and being a bit more fun and poking a little bit of fun at yourself in this whole process. Why not?
I think that's what people are like looking for now as well. This has gone on a long time. Our mental states are changing constantly, but I think people are craving that now as well. They're really craving a bit of a release, even in themselves, but what they're watching online. We don't want to keep seeing and hearing the negatives. We know it's going on. And like John, I haven't watched the news for months because I refuse to be consumed by this. And I know that if I need to maintain a positive mental state, watching the news 3 times a day and hearing the same thing over and over, that's not going to help me personally. But watching a little video online, a little ditty of a tradesman, you see the Apprentice videos on the tools on the Facebook. I love watching that. Yeah. And they population of the apprentices go out and buy something that actually doesn't exist and go and find this and go and get me this. And I love all that. It's just a little bit of light in a day, isn't it?
Sending someone out for a long stand, that kind of thing. Yeah. Loving it.
Tartan tanks, skyhooks, glass hammers.
Oh, the tartan one, yeah.
I'm quite worried and concerned that given everything that we've seen in the news recently, that it won't be long until there'll be some sort of legislation in place to protect these apprentices and not allow us. I'm not looking forward to that day, to be honest.
These wallflowers that are going to get caught out by things like that.
Yeah, don't be a tradesperson, for God's sake.
There you have it. Synopsis from this episode: do not be a tradesperson. You heard it from Andrew Black. There we go. Well, thank you very much for watching and listening wherever you are. Hopefully, you've been listening in Poland or the United Kingdom. It's all good. It's wonderful to have you with us. Don't forget, you can find out more about us at marketingsimplified.co.uk, and you can get in touch with the show at hello@marketingsimplified.co.uk. If you think that this podcast is of value to you and others, then please do leave us a review on iTunes, and we'll love you for it.
That's all for this time, but don't worry, we'll be back with more soon. Stay tuned for new episodes at marketingsimplified.co.uk.